Hello and welcome to another edition of Garden Talk in the Garden. By now, I'm sure you know that I'm Vanessa. And as you know, this week in the garden, we've been talking about the topic of beauty. And so we've had a lot of great conversations in the group about, the science of beauty, what are some societal standards of beauty, how has beauty, the concept of beauty changed over the years, how does it differ from culture to culture, how does aging fit into the concept of beauty, and so we've been having some really great discussions on all of that, and so we wanted to wrap the week up by having a conversation with Monica Conley, who is one of our garden members, and have a little chat with her about her thoughts and views on beauty. So welcome, Monica. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm hoping it will be an awesome conversation. So let me tell you a little bit about Monica. Monica lives in Northern California with her husband and her 3-year-old son. She's a perfumer who creates natural perfumes and body products using botanical ingredients. And she's one of my silver sisters.
That's right.
And I think that's actually how we originally met, right?
Probably.
I think so. So I'm very excited to be having this conversation with her. So let's just start at the beginning. Basically, can you talk to us? Oh, wait, before we get into that, I just wanted to say that I purposely did not do my hair or put on makeup to have this beauty conversation.
When I was going through the settings on this, it said something about enhance your appearance. And I'm like, well, I guess I can't do that. So this is me,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
no filters.
I don't wear a lot of makeup to begin with, but usually because of the camera and stuff, I'll try to, but I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it this time. So this is me in the raw. So let's just start with the basic, journey around beauty, how you have perceived that throughout the years, what's been your experience and your feelings around that.
Wow. That is,
I know.
There's a lot.
Question.
I've always been attracted to beauty, aesthetics. I think that I grew up with a very narrow vision of beauty. I think we all come into this with what was given to us by our families and our communities in general. And so, it's taken a lot of years for me to change or maybe broaden my sense of what beauty is for me, what I perceive as beautiful. So.
Would you say that you grew up feeling like you were beautiful?
No.
Okay,
absolutely not.
Yeah. No.
I went through. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't think that I had a concept of myself as beautiful or not. I don't think that it was something that I thought about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think later, like high school, I think maybe I did, but before then, it wasn't even on my radar.
I think a lot of my issues came from my mother. She doesn't find herself attractive. She's very hard on herself, and so I think I absorbed a lot of that insecurity, as well as the fact that, in high school I had really bad acne, I had crooked teeth. I was brought up in a very conservative household. I didn't have a lot of, how should you call it? I wasn't very, very well, I don't even know how to put this. I didn't have a lot of experience dealing with a lot of different people. So, like I said, my viewpoint was very limited, and I just didn't feel very, very secure. I didn't have a lot of experience, and so it took me many.
Was there a particular age when you did start, thinking about it or experimenting with what beauty was for you, or getting comfortable with the concept of thinking of yourself as beautiful?
I think I finally got to that point when I was in my mid-20s, and I started taking ballroom dancing lessons, and I started learning how to teach ballroom. And the whole dancing, helped me get some confidence. And that was huge for me. That was a really, really big turning point for me. Yeah.
And
Before
then,
then, I was very shy.
and so would you say that then, that's you've been able to maintain that view of yourself since then, or do you still
I have,
wane a little bit?
it's gone back and forth depending on my life and how I felt about myself. A lot of it has to do with how I feel rather than how I
Right.
look.
Yeah, that's
How I feel inside.
Yeah. So I know that you, we get inundated with all kinds of messages about what beautiful is, and we saw that in the garden this week with some of the things that we shared. But I know that you've said that you feel that beauty is about confidence and authenticity. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what that means to you?
Sure. I think throughout my life, I've seen a lot of people who are beautiful on the outside, but who, because of their actions or because of how they treat other people or how they react, that goes away pretty fast. And people who are really confident, who are kind, and who have a sense of who they are, that's really, really beautiful to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think exactly that. Confidence, kindness, and authenticity is stunning.
It is.
You can't take your eyes off those people,
Yep. I had a very interesting conversation with my mom recently about a friend of mine. There was a picture of her dad, and I just think he's just amazing looking. And she was just like, oh, when I first saw him, I just didn't know what to think. I was like, ugh. And I was just like, wow, as a human being, what he portrays is just his confidence. He's a very unique individual as far as his appearance. But to me, he's just amazing looking. And it warmed my heart. And so that was really interesting to have that discussion,
Yeah, and I wonder, I know you said that your mom struggles with that, viewing herself that way as beautiful. So, I wonder if you struggle with that yourself, are you not as attracted, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Do you struggle with seeing that as beautiful in somebody else when they do have that confidence?
I think that's
that you reject. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think that's absolutely correct. I just, at least from my experience, from what I've seen.
That's interesting.
People who are hard on themselves are hard on other people,
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the beauty industry, because that's sort of the industry that, you exist in. So can you talk a little bit about your journey there? What made you get into that in the first place, and talk maybe a little bit about what it is that you do?
Sure. I started really getting into natural perfumery, and really it started out as getting into aromatherapy and herbal studies. Okay. I've always been interested in scents, but I started having real issues with commercial perfumes because they made me sneeze, made my eyes water. And so dealing with essential oils was something that I really enjoyed. And so I got into that. And when I became a massage therapist, I started making blends for my clients and making body oils, massage oils. And it just kind of morphed into perfumery, which is a much more complicated process. And, takes a lot more work, I guess you could say.
And how would you, how does the concept of beauty factor into what it is that you're doing? Because it's not about what you look like, it's about what you smell like.
Yeah.
To some extent, but obviously there's a beauty component in there. So, I'm curious to your thoughts on how that's all connected.
Scent is an interesting thing. Everyone's very particular about smells.
Yes.
It's different for everyone. For some people, it could be like lavender could be beautiful. And for someone else who has a memory that's not good, associated with lavender. It could be. So there are certain scents for each person that make them feel beautiful or that recreate a feeling that they once loved or didn't love. And so that's really fascinating, how unique and very personal it is. As far as, what you put on your body, I think there's been a big trend towards natural stuff because people are starting to have reactions to a lot of commercial things. And so that's really important to me. I mean, to make things and to allow people to still use things that create beauty for them, a sense of beauty for them, but that are also good for them. They can also affect your mood. So, especially the essential oils.
And how would you, I'm curious as to when you're creating your scents and your different products, do you have a thought in your mind about what it is you want to give to your clients through those products? Is there a particular way you want them to feel, or, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, different scents that I've created have different feelings to them. Something that has a lot of citrus would be very refreshing and lighthearted and maybe bring you up on a down day. When I create stuff for myself, I create them for myself. I really do. I create what I want to smell.
For you.
Yeah. So the difference between that and then creating something for someone else specifically, I'm going from what they want, what they're attracted to. But, it ends up to be the way I want it to smell as well because of how I put it together.
Right. And we're going to talk about the experience that you and I have been going through over the past couple of weeks in a second, but I just want to detour for a quick second because I don't think that you and I can have a conversation without talking about the gray or the silver or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
So, I recently shared the article that I wrote. It's in one of the comments of one of the posts this week. If you didn't see it, I think you saw it, but I'm talking to the general group. If you haven't seen it and want to go check it out, about my journey with deciding to stop dyeing my hair and letting my natural aging process, come out. But so I was curious if you could share a little bit about how you went through that, what your journey was like related to that.
Sure. I was dyeing my hair with henna, actually.
Oh, really?
Because my hair doesn't really take conventional dyes well. It does some funny, weird stuff. So I'd been doing henna for a while on my own. And it was really a big pain in the butt, to be honest. It's a mess. And my husband's just like, why don't you just stop?
Your husband was the one that told you
just let it go. I was like, you know what? You're right. It's time. So I did, and I love it. And I just let it grow.
Did you get a lot of comments, like negative comments, or
No one ever said a negative word to me about my hair. Wow. And I know I think I'm pretty fortunate.
That's awesome.
But
I wouldn't say that anybody said. No one said anything intentionally insulting,
right?
And I've never gotten insulted by something someone said because I don't insult easily. But when you peel away at what they are saying, like there's an insult in there somewhere, you know what I mean?
Okay.
They may not have intended it to be, and I may have not taken it that way, but it's there, I
have one story. We were at a Vietnamese restaurant, and we went there all the time, and my friend was with me. And the lady's like, oh, is this your daughter? I was like, she's older than me.
Oh my goodness.
I was just dumbfounded. but
Yeah, no,
maybe I just looked rough that day. I don't know.
I think also, being Hispanic, Cuban in particular, that, I can only speak about my culture. I don't pretend to know all, the other cultures, but Cubans tend to be very into their looks, let's say. I'm not, but they, as a culture, we do, tend to dye our hair to the day we die, wear, high heels, even if we can barely walk, like, that's just kind of, at least my family, that's how we are. And so I think that coming from that culture and living in Miami, which is also a community that's very focused on aesthetics in general, I got a lot of like, oh my God, the world's gonna end if you don't dye your hair. You know what I mean? So you're lucky, I guess, that, from the beginning you had your husband, suggesting it and therefore supporting that. And that you didn't get a lot of those crazy comments. But for me, the comments just fueled me forward. They never made me question if I should do it. If anything, it was like, oh, I have to do this now.
That's awesome.
I have a lesson to teach here to these poor people. But okay, so I just, like I said, I didn't think we could have an interview about beauty and not talk about our silvers.
Right.
But even, I know we're a member of some groups and we have some other silver sisters that we communicate with, and you see a lot of the struggle that they have as they're letting their hair grow out, and a lot of people get halfway through the process and then dye it again because they just, so there is obviously a lot of push and pull with that, and how, I guess, it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is it about society standards? Is it your standards? Are your standards being informed by society standards and you don't even realize it? So, that's something that has been very interesting for me to watch now that I've sort of completed my process. But, and it's almost like when you pass another woman walking that's all gray, just looking at you, you kind of give each other that eye of like, I'm with this girl. You know what I mean? So, okay, so let's go back to the whole perfume thing. I definitely want to talk a little bit about the journey that we've been on. So let me just kind of set that up a little bit. So I'm on another journey with Rebecca Eggers, who we interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and the program that she's offering, and I've been working with her on that. And as part of that process, I'm not going to go into that too deep, but I just want to say that as part of that process, we've come up with an identity for me that we've called the Ecstasy Hunter, for a million reasons, and I'm happy to share that at some other time. But for the point of this conversation, let's just say that my name is the Ecstasy Hunter. And so, I was hearing so many great things about your products, and so it came to me that I would love to have a perfume, because I also don't wear perfumes, traditional perfumes, for all the reasons you mentioned. And so I was kind of thinking, I'd love to have a perfume called Ecstasy Hunter that I could wear to sort of, get myself in the mood, inspire me to kind of take on that persona when I need to do that. And so, we had an initial conversation about whether or not you could do a custom perfume, and you said that you do that. And so that began a journey of us creating the Ecstasy Hunter scent. And it has, as you know, it has been for me such an awesome learning experience. It's been so much fun. I've learned so much, and I am so excited about, getting the finished product when we're done with this process. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about the process that you go through to come up with a custom scent. I mean, you alluded to it a little bit before about how you have to kind of sort of switch the perspective from what do you like to learning about the other person. And so, it's been a very interesting process, because it, I think and I'll chime in as you talk about, my side of the experience, but, for me, it's been a little bit of a discovery process for myself, because you're asking me questions that I don't normally ask myself. And so I feel like I've learned a lot about myself in the process too. So can you talk a little bit about the process that you go through to create a scent for somebody else or a product for somebody else, custom?
Sure. I mean, it's really fun for you in the process you're going through because you have a name. You have a certain feeling that I get to create it around, in addition to the type of scent you like. So that's a lot of fun right there. So I usually ask what type of scent someone is into, whether it's floral or earthy or citrusy or, you name it. And then we go from there and keep refining that definition, whether you like incensey or if you like it more light or sweet or whatever. So that's the beginning. But, asking someone what they enjoy doing, what kind of activities you love, what makes you happy, what makes you feel joyful and confident, or, what kind of feeling do you want this perfume to evoke in you? And I guess that goes back to the whole beauty thing, you
Right.
want it to make you feel beautiful.
How do you want it to make you feel, right?
Right. So, that's the beginning. And so, I sit down with all these ideas and put together, maybe just one. And sometimes a few. I know I put together 4 for you, just to have you try them all out and see which one you like the best. And then we go on to refine that. So I know you picked 2. So we just melded them together. Yeah, it's been fun.
Let me say, so actually you're creating a scent, Ecstasy Hunter, for me, which is how this whole thing started. But in the process, you're also making a scent for my daughter, who's 11, who has some, some stress, anxiety issues. And so we're doing something for her that's about, I guess sort of more of a calming type of scent, calming but uplifting kind of scent, right?
Exactly.
So we've been working on both at the same time. And but just to kind of go back to mine, like you just said, you went through all those questions for me, and then I think one of the first questions was that what kind of things do I think about when I think about the concept of ecstasy, or what makes me feel a sense of ecstasy? And so, that was like, I don't know. And so I had to really, put myself in that space. And so we came up with all the things that I like and what I don't like. And so you, as you said, you created 4 scents and you sent me samples of those. And then I went through this awesome, crazy process. I may have taken it a little bit too far.
I think it's great. It's been fun.
The day that they arrived, I smelled all of them, and then I had my initial reactions. But when you're smelling all those scents together, it can be a little overwhelming. So then I took one day of the week, and each of those days I wore a different scent. And then because like I said, I'm a little crazy, and I took it to another level. I kind of kept a journal sort of like, what time I put it on, how I felt, when I reapply, just kind of how it made me feel throughout the day. And so as we were getting towards the end of the week, and I was, I guess, on the last one, 2 of them really stood out to me. And then that led us to have a conversation about what I liked about each of those 2. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of led us to just say, well, let's see if we can combine the 2 in some way. And then maybe I think we added something else, or swapped something out or something like that. But at the end of the day, and so I'm waiting for the sample on this newer product, so we'll see. But what I've been doing in the meantime is wearing those 2 together. And I know it's not exactly the same as the next sample that you're sending me, but I know I commented to you the other day that I put it on, and it was like immediately it felt like I felt like delicious, like like sensual, and just I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, because it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted something that was gonna remind me of the concept of hunting ecstasy, you know?
Yes.
And so my daughter's going through her process now, and we think we've, you know, narrowed it down to the scent that she likes and makes her feel, again, that combination of calming but also uplifting. And so, you know, we think we have a winner there.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be wrapping up the process soon, and we'll have our scents. But it's just been, you know, it's been an awesome process to go through, you know, figuring out something that's tailor-made to you, that makes you feel the way that you want to feel, that has the elements that are important to you. And so, you know, thank you so much for taking me on that journey, because I've never done anything like that before, and it's been really, really awesome to go through that with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a blast.
I know. I like it a lot. I'm curious, what of the scents that you have, not the custom ones, obviously, what are your favorite products of your line?
Wow. You know, one that really, the perfume that I love is bourbon.
Really?
And to be honest, it doesn't smell like bourbon per se. I actually created it because a friend of mine told me that she just loves to smell the glass after she's done drinking bourbon, and just the way it smells is completely different than a glass of bourbon. But it's, every time I smell it, I'm just like, what is that? It's so good.
So
I really love the anointing oils.
Yeah, I want to try that next.
Yeah, and the chakra blends are fun. I'm working my way through the chakra blends, and those are really lovely too. So, you know, it's just really fun creating, and I don't see stopping anytime soon.
Good, because, you know, I mean, I know you've had some conversations with Rebecca about, you know, working with her for other people that she works with, because it's been such a rewarding. So we'll see what comes of that. But, you know, it's a, you know, you don't just get a great perfume out of it. At the end of the day, it's really a journey that you go on. And so, so I am eagerly anticipating the arrival of my next sample, and hopefully, you know, we've hit the nail on the head with that version of the perfume. So, so in general, are there any other thoughts or comments that you have on this whole concept of beauty, on anything that we've talked about in the garden this week? Anything really that you want to share?
You know, I think we're all searching for beauty in lots of ways in our lives, that feeling, you know, and we just have to find what's right for us, what brings beauty into our own lives. And I think it's different for each one of us. And I'm still trying to figure out what all those things are for me, you know. And it's definitely a constant process. You know, you have to get over what everyone else has told you what beauty is, and come to your own understanding of it. And yeah, still on that journey.
Yeah. And I think for me, you know, my concept of beauty has changed, you know, and continues to change. And I think I mentioned it in the article too, that, you know, when I was younger, I expressed myself by dyeing my hair all kinds of different ways and cutting it all kinds of crazy hair, you know, and for me, that made me feel beautiful. That made me feel like I was expressing my craziness, because at that time, doing that was not the norm. And now, when that's more of the norm, I'm kind of like, no, you know, now I'm going to express myself by being natural and bucking all these, you know, beauty standards, because I don't want it. And, you know, who knows, maybe in another 10 years, I'll have a completely different concept of what makes me feel, you know, beautiful or whatever. And then I'll ride with that. And so we don't have to be stuck, I guess, on any definitions of beauty.
Yeah, it's evolving.
The point of my article at the end of the day was just to make sure that your definition of beauty is yours,
yes,
not somebody else's. And I think that's whether you dye your hair or not, or you do this or not, just make sure that's that is you, and not something that's being put on you by somebody else. And, you know, I guess that's all I got to say about that.
I think that's perfect.
So thank you so much again for all the work that you've done with me personally, for having a conversation with us today. And we're gonna share this in the garden, and then we'll also share the link to your Etsy store where people can check out some of your products. And so, and just anybody, when you watch the video, we would love to hear the different comments that you have, questions. Obviously, Monica, if you can answer questions about the products ourselves, or we can just continue to have a conversation about what's beautiful, and wrap up Beauty Week. So until next time, I would just say to make sure that you stay your raw, or authentic, natural, beautiful selves. Thank you, Monica. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye, Vanessa.
Where do I pause? Oh, here it goes.